I swam the two of us to shore. I laid Ron on his side and listened to his chest. He was unconscious, but he was breathing, shallowly. Dawn ran over and brought towels from the boathouse, which she wrapped us in. She stayed until the ambulance came. The medics thought they were there for both of us, but when I explained what had happened, they said they would only bring Ron to the hospital. They wouldn't let me ride with him. I watched as they tied him to a stretcher. Everything happened so quickly. Dawn said she would drive us to the hospital, and I must have agreed because all of a sudden, we were in her car.
What exactly happened?
We were rowing the last 200 meters and Ron passed out. I acted on impulse and got him out of the boat.
Then what?
And I don't know. I couldn't get him to wake up. I should have done something sooner.
What do you mean? What happened?
Looked like he was starting to lose it in the middle of the race.
How?
His form was falling apart. It was hard to follow. I almost caught a crab.
We need to talk to the deans. Henry has gone too far. This isn't just about initiation stuff anymore.
Let's wait until we see about Ron. We didn't talk for the rest of the drive. I can't help but make some connection to that drive with my trip up to school with my father. Whereas on that drive, I kept silent out of anger and a desire for revenge. In the car with Dawn, it was fear that stopped me from speaking. Nothing we could say could change Ron's condition. The only thing we could do was get to the hospital as quickly as possible.
Is Ron Ferry here?
Let me check. Yes, he's being seen. You can wait here, but it'll be a while before he can have any visitors.
That's fine. We'll wait. We waited for hours. I wasn't thinking about the race against Birchwood. I assumed we'd lost. Then the receptionist asked where I was from. She scoffed, and I understood she meant that Alderbridge students were all too common at the hospital's ER. By the late afternoon, they told us Ron was in a stable condition, and we could see him.
Come in.
Hey, Ron. It's Dawn and Greg. How are you doing?
Doctors say the infection was so bad it gave me sepsis.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, if it had been left untreated much longer, I would have had my hands amputated.
Oh my God.
They told me I could have died. I should have listened to you and gone to the medical center. They say the infection affected my lungs. I can't row for the rest of the season.
I'm so sorry, Ron. Captain forcing you to cut up your hands didn't help.
Hey, Greg. Thanks. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't got me out of the boat.
Too late.
Not to save my life. Did we at least win?
I can appreciate Ron's resilience now, but at the time, it just made me feel worse. Why couldn't he be as mad at me as I was with myself? How could he think about the race when he almost died? I'd almost killed my only friend, and apparently, murdering teammates was some kind of family tradition. My dad hadn't called me back, and when Dawn dropped me off at my dorm later that night, the room felt so empty without Ron. I ran to the boathouse, not knowing what to expect, just that I needed to run.
Fail, son. Coming by to finish the race? You're a bit late for that.
I saw the door was open. Why are you here?
I was slow today. I could be faster. The scouts were impressed by our finish, but I could be better.
We won?
Of course we did. You think I'd let two novices ruin my race?
Are you kidding me? Ron almost died because of you. You forced him to row that race. You forced me to cut his blisters. He got sepsis. He's out for the season.
That's a shame. He was good in the 4-seat. Oh well. Looks like we'll need to bring back one of our lower-tier varsity members, huh? That just means we'll have to row harder, huh, Greggy boy?
I'm done. Do you not get that? And me, Ron, and Dawn are reporting you to the deans. Your power trip is over.
Do you not get how this school works, Greg? This school with your bullshit name all over it? Go down to the trophy room. Go on. Because I put another cup in the case. I'm gonna win another one. Another championship for this school. Do you think they give a damn about little Ronnie Ferry against all that I bring to this place? Your dad, he called me to congratulate me, to thank me for taking little Greggy under my wing. I know you need to be on this team as a condition of your tuition. You breathe a word about me to the deans, and I'll take you down, Greg. I will fucking end you.
Dawn was right. You are the fucking devil.
Oh, right. Dawn. Yeah, she should come back. Right? That novice cock sucked.
And why would she do that?
Because we like winning, Greg. We love winning. See you on the water tomorrow. 5 a.m. Sharp.
I wanted to punch Captain. I wanted to run out of the boathouse all the way back to New York, away from the suffocating excellence of Alderbridge. But instead, I walked downstairs where wet t-shirts sat in front of the trophy case. It's tradition that the losing crew hands over their shirts. It was the first competitive sports victory I could ever claim being a part of. What Captain didn't say, but what I knew, was that my decision that morning helped us win. Ron came back to the room with his parents, who thanked me profusely. I hated this story that saw me as a hero. How was the doc? Any progress?
The doctors are worried the lung damage is permanent. There's tissue damage throughout my body. Rowing is out of the question. They're not even sure my hands will recover enough to fence.
This is all my fault. I should have never
Stop
pulled you into
beating yourself up. I wanted to row. Still want to row. I'm the novice captain. I can't do shit.
I haven't been going to practices either. It was only fun when it was us out there.
You're an amazing rower.
I only row good when I'm angry. My form is bad. I'm not like you. It's not...
Are you serious? I didn't go through all of this for nothing, Greg. So, I have an idea. Why can't we still take out a single? I could coach you from a launch. Teach you better precision.
I don't know how to scull. You don't either.
Well, what about Dawn?
It seemed like coaching me was all Ron had left to hold on to. He and Dawn put me in the stroke seat of a pair. That required me to switch from port to starboard, which was an adjustment, but with time, I got used to it. I kept my distance from the varsity 8, and despite what Captain had threatened, I hadn't heard a word from my dad about how I'd left the team. I wonder if Captain somehow knew about my night training with Dawn and Ron, if that was enough for him, or if he simply knew I'd be back. I never went to the deans about Captain either. Dawn, Ron, and I joked that being Captain was punishment enough. I was regaining some sense of joy for it all.
That was a great final piece. Dawn, why don't you get back into rowing?
Because then I wouldn't have time for you clowns.
Stop! You want me to get pneumonia and go to the hospital again?
He's a fragile boy, Don. We have to be careful.
We still have to wipe this down before the end of the night. The championship is coming up in a couple weeks, Greg. Would you consider returning to the team?
I don't know. I hear their boat is fast and they're winning. You're graduating soon. Ron can't row. I wouldn't want to pass this season anyways.
They're winning, but not by much. And their times are slower than last year. Slower than when you joined us in the boat.
Captain would never say it, but he needs you.
Who knows? You could be the next captain.
Jesus. And get some branding on my back like you?
You told me once you wanted a scar.
Yeah, but from like a fight, not a satanic club.
You know, Greg, there'll be scouts at that final race. Maybe you could distinguish yourself.
I could throw another rower out of the 8, make it my specialty.
Seriously. Some of them are from Cambridge and Oxford. You could get out of here. Start something new.
Leave Ron behind?
Ron will be fine, right, Ron?
Of
course.
You could transfer too. Study math or whatever, one of those places.
My family doesn't have that kind of money.
Maybe I just got us all ahead of ourselves. I'm just saying, this season doesn't need to be the ending.
Can we get this thing in quick and have a beer? Did the infection kill your liver too, Ron?
I can drink. Just a couple. Lest you two go full captain and try to operate on my spleen.
I had been avoiding thinking about the team. My father had reached out and said he'd be at the championship race, which was being held in Boston on the Charles River. So he didn't know I'd quit. Things were starting to feel better. Training with Ron and Dawn and keeping rowing separate from the rest of my life. Except, as the championship drew nearer, so did the pull towards getting back in the boat. I showed up to practice a week before the race, and it was just like Dawn said. Captain let me back in, no questions asked. Except he moved me to the 7th seat, right behind him. Well, whatever the reason, it worked. I followed Captain, and we were fast. I was even feeling hopeful on the eve of the championship. Then, the night before the race, my dad arrived.
Haha, son, you're looking well. Rigging the boats for tomorrow?
Hi, Dad.
This is bringing me back. Did I ever tell you our championship was on the Charles?
I don't remember. I didn't really like your crew stories growing up.
Oh, it's different when you're part of it, huh? Now, do you still do the, pre-race parties?
Something like that.
Where's Henry? I want to wish him luck before tomorrow.
You guys on a first-name basis, then?
He does an excellent job with alumni outreach. He's made us former Alderbridge rowers very proud the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah. He's a big fan of yours, too. You should hear how grateful he is to be rowing out of your boathouse.
It'll be our boathouse soon enough, my boy. I've arranged to make some additional contributions for improvements.
How generous.
Let's go for a walk, Greg. You can ask me your questions, the ones you've called about. We just won the championship. We took a midnight, drunken, celebratory row. And there weren't any objections. We did it all the time. I mean, in the pitch dark, setting ourselves up in the boat, pushing off into the night. We rowed with one arm and drank beers with the other. Veering all over the Charles. My 7th seat was a guy named Marv Howe. He was from Michigan and built like a linebacker. We actually convinced him to switch from football to rowing. Marv was indestructible. But on one of the power tents, Marv must have swung too far, thrown out of the boat, and, well, anyway, he was so strong that he lifted himself right out of his shoes. He just went into that black water without ever coming up. He just sank. I jumped in, of course, but I couldn't see him. None of us could. It was ruled an accident because, well, it was. And Grandpa offered to help Marv's family over the years. And they said no, though. They were proud people.
Why did you make me join crew? After all that.
You've benefited from crew, Greg. I'm not apologizing for that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I look forward to seeing Alderbridge win tomorrow.
I couldn't sleep that night. I stared up at the ceiling, wondering how I'd Houdini my way out of the straitjackets binding me to the past and the suffocating present. I think now about the cycles and patterns in my life, but to college students, hardships are just the next immediate novel thing in their lives. It's different when it's the first go-around. What can I say? The championship was a different beast.
We're the last race of the day. Primetime spot, guys. Go for a jog, stay loose.
Can I erg?
Sure, let Ron help you, okay?
How does it feel to have a personal coach?
I've had private tutors my whole life. I'm a Culver, remember?
How could any of us forget?
I don't know, man. I didn't choose any of this. Joining the team, the drinking.
You chose to save me.
That was different.
You're an excellent rower, Greg. You started out like shit, but you've worked hard. I'm proud of you, man. And if you go out there like you have all these months, it'll be fine.
Let's just erg this out. 2,000 meters, steady state.
Sounds good. Ready? Row.
That was one of the last times I remember Ron and I talking like that. After the race, so much pulled us apart. Before I knew it, I was out on the water, in the boat, in the 7th seat, following Captain. He was like a combination of Ron and a bull. His back was so strong and broad, he looked like Superman. I imagined Marv Howe, as my dad described him. The long line of Clydes and Marvs and Captains and me stretching down the water and back, generations before and generations to come. There were 4 schools who made it to the finals. We were on the lane closest to the shore, and Birchwood was the next in line. Their team looked hungry, staring daggers at us as we made it up to the start.
Same as always, boys. Do you want it?
Yes!
Good. We're going to start with a higher stroke rating. Ready, boys? We've got confirmation. Stay focused. On the gun. Go!
We flew that day. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced in a boat. We lifted off the water. From start to finish, we were a single powerful unit moving in complete harmony. I don't even remember Dawn calling power 10s because we opened up an early lead and extended it by boat lengths just by the sheer force of our combined strength. I was in lockstep with Captain, like I'd been with Ron, except we were rowing at the highest level. To this day, I still don't think I've had as dominant a performance on the water as I did that day.
Congratulations, boys! We're champions!
Yeah! Back-to-back champions! How was that, Greggy boy?
Amazing!
Good, because you and this team are never losing another championship, okay? You got that?
Yes, Captain.
Let's throw it in! We've got some trophies.
And a cup to throw in the water!
Once we brought the boat in, Captain tossed Dawn into the Charles. They were playful, as if the years had melted off them and they were back to those days I'd heard about, their freshman year. Dawn went on to medical school. Henry went straight to Wall Street. They're not happy people, from what I know. It's jarring knowing that, against the vision I keep of them in my head, locked in celebration. I walked through a daze of pictures and champagne. Dad broke through the crowd and hugged me. I was making my way to Ron when...
Greg Culver?
Yes?
I'm Winston Gray. I'm one of the coaches at Oxford. Congratulations on your race.
Thank you.
I don't want to keep you, but when you have a moment, I wondered if you'd like to talk about an opportunity at our school. I was impressed by your versatility. I saw you at the Birchwood race. You were rowing 3-seat, I believe, yes? But today you were 7. We value that kind of utility. Give me a ring later, won't you?
I thought leaving Alderbridge behind would be a second chance. A second chance to make things right. When I got back to Alderbridge, I called the scout, and I was in England by the spring. I took my legacy with me and my demons. The baggage of what that semester had cost me, and especially Ron. We tried to keep in touch, but we were young. Ron inevitably got enough strength back in his hand to recommence fencing, but not as he had before. And to my knowledge, he didn't row again. Whereas Oxford, gold at the Olympics. I'll say this. There's no escaping yourself. Wherever you go, there you are. And for me, always, there is Ron. Off to the side, clapping and cheering, just out of frame.
Did our favorite rom-coms we adored growing up totally warp our ideas around love, relationships, dating, and sex? Spoiler alert, they sure did, and we're here to unpack the mess with a feminist twist. I'm DB, and this is Rom-Com Bomb, a Sex Ed with DB podcast show where in every episode we go under the covers with a beloved rom-com, strip away its hidden toxic messages, and rewrite the script on love and sex. This series is perfect for fans of sex-positive podcasts, film nostalgia, feminist cultural critiques, and anyone ready to challenge outdated love tropes. Tune in now. Just type in Sex Ed with DB wherever you get your podcasts.